Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor in the main event. Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in Canada. Did Imperium's pickup lines work on Maxine? Michael Cole finds out why. Shinsuke why. And new women's tag title holders, or at least one new champion. This is the Amped Up Podcast, featuring the Raw review for Monday, August the 14th, 2023. Grab your beverage, pop in the earbuds, and let's get amplified. Judgment Day. Middle of the ring to start this show. No Finn Balor. Instead, JD McDonutts comes to the ring, and he tells the Day of Judgment how they should be conducting their business. So Rhea Ripley promptly tells him to shut up. Dominic Mysterio says words, something, but I just can't make them out because Kevin Dunn amped up the piped-in booze to an obnoxious degree. Which, by the way, they're just not needed for somebody like Dominic Mysterio, because he gets a loud, organic reaction all by himself. He gets loud boos by the majority of the crowd by himself. You would not need to pipe in boos for this dude. But that's what this company does. They take something that's actually working and they run it into the ground to the point where it's ruined. A yes movement or a yeah movement. Or somebody that gets an organic response, and you have to pipe in boos on top of it to the point where it's not even connecting with the crowd. It's like a light switch. You turn on the light switch, everybody all at once starts obnoxiously booing to a static level. It sounds like static. And then you turn the light switch off, and everybody all at once stops booing. The static noise shuts off. That's not realistic. So then what you're doing is you're just ruining. It's no longer fun to even boo Dominic Mysterio because they're fabricating your response live. So it doesn't matter what you do live. They're going to overpower it with their Thunderdome tricks. You know, Austin Theory, I can see that. That just didn't work. Sadly, that didn't work with Austin Theory, which, by the way, I still see untapped potential. I'm not writing Austin Theory off. That may seem like a wild take. BC, he's done. It just doesn't work, man. I get it. VKM tried it. Everything under the sun VKM tried. HH8 tried a bunch of stuff, a repackaging. Get the briefcase off of him. Maybe that was weighing him down. And then they just threw a US title on him like that was not going to weigh him down any further either. No. Stop throwing accessories on Austin Theory and just learn how to build this dude up. Work with him. Find that potential. Before The Rock, we all had to put up with Rocky Maivia. Before The Rock had to put up with Rocky Maivia. That was going nowhere fast. Nobody paid to see the Ringmaster or Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS. You guys remember these characters? Nobody's paying to see them, but find the potential in them. Nobody's seeing Max Dupree. L.A. Knight, different story. Putting down a cell phone was not going to give a better or bigger response to Austin Theory. Everybody tried, I get it, but there's still untapped potential. Stop with the accessories. Stop with the mega push. Start from the scratch with Austin Theory, and I still think there is something there. But piping in boos with him, even though I don't like it, okay, at least we could say they're trying anything to make it look like this guy gets a response. But with Dominic Mysterio, it's not even needed. So you're actually ruining it. It's like Alex Rodriguez, New York Yankee, or at least that's how he retired. Also a Mariner, but he was going to be a Hall of Famer from the jump. He was that good. Just keep being a student of the game, keep getting that knowledge, keep working out, and keep kicking ass every day. Alex Rodriguez was in that Hall of Fame. No, what did he do? He juiced up. He did all the extracurricular activity because he wanted to be even more, and he knew the only way to get there was to fabricate it. Well, got caught, and there he is now outside the Hall of Fame, probably never going to get in. It's ruined, right? Alex Rodriguez, the legacy of A-Rod, is tainted for no reason. He was going to be one of the best baseball players of all time in that Hall of Fame. Why would you taint something that is working so fluently? So good. Dominic Mysterio is that dude. Stop with the piped-in boos. That's a request by many wrestling fans. No Thunderdome tricks. Stop it. Kevin Dunn, Paul Levesque McMahon, Vincent Kennedy, a Nicholas Khan, a Brewster Pritchard, a John Laurinaitis. I don't care who has any type of power. Stop with the piped-in boos, man. Not even when it's needed, because that should tell you you're doing everything wrong if you even have to think of piping in boos. Thank you for letting BC give that side rant on the piped-in boos for Dominic Mysterio last night. Anyway, they're all kind of revolting against JD McDonutts, who's trying to tell them how to run the business. I do like this dynamic. When I first heard of JD McDonutts in Judgment Day, I was the one on the outside going, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't fit for me, just because the initials are JD, Judgment Day, and he's McDonutts. The last thing they need is somebody even smaller than Finn Balor to make us look at Judgment Day like they're a true threat. But the way they're doing the story, how he's kind of easing his way in, that little weasel on the outside, right? That little weasel you just want to flick like a gnat. Even last night when the show ended, which we'll get to, if you look at where JD McDonutts was positioned and how he was just eyeing the group all huddled together, I thought it was actually done pretty good, and I like how the group initially is just not letting this dude in. They don't want anything to do with this McDonutts. So anyway, Sami Zayn hits the ring because he's trying to get a little bit of retribution, a little bit of payback from the beating McDonutts gave him last week. So Sami Zayn hits the ring. He and McDonutts brawl as Judgment Day watches on, and we all go to commercial. First commercial of the night. Now, when we come back from break, Sami Zayn defeats JD McDonutts via pinfall off the haluva kick. Now, this is one of those scenarios where I just don't understand. Okay, I don't want to see Sami Zayn losing because he's a champion. I don't care if it's a tag team title. I don't care if he's holding a briefcase. I don't care if you call him King of the Ring, King Zayn. He has to win then. You threw the accessory on him. There's got to be a reason it's on him. No, WWE does it ass backwards. They throw an accessory on you, and they hope that that's going to launch you into superstardom, and we're going to care about you because you now wear a crown, or you hold a briefcase, or you have a title around your waist or your shoulder. Not the case. But Sami Zayn does have a title he should not be losing. Kevin Owens is on the shelf. We were hearing Sami Zayn was banged up all this week. We didn't even think he'd be wrestling. Shorter match, but still, we didn't think he'd be... Actually, this was a little bit lengthy. So obviously not too severe. That's good. But still, if you're so quick to take tag titles off of the ladies, why are the tag titles not already off of Zayn and Owens? Not saying that I want to see vacant titles all the time. The tag divisions are basically cursed. The women even more so. But at this point, you'd be taking an anchor off of Zayn and Owens because ever since WrestleMania, they have gotten nothing. Nada, nilch, nine. Nothing. Booking-wise, they're in Monday Night Raw main events and six-man tags and nonsensical tags. Now, this is Sami Zayn. He was at one point on top of the wrestling world, sharing it with Cody Rhodes going into Montreal. What was that, February? Right before WrestleMania. This was one of the hottest acts in pro wrestling. Now, if he misses a Raw, you wouldn't even blink an eye, bat an eyelash. That's how much afterthoughts Zayn and Owens are, unfortunately. But here's Sami Zayn. He wins a match. What a concept. The champion wins. But you look at the loser, JD McDonutts. Why even put him in this match? He just attacked Sami last week, and they're already finishing up their feud? Or are you going to tell me, no, there's much more story and feud to go between them, BC? Well, clearly. But now we've already seen the payoff. We've already seen the match with a clear-cut, straight up clean winner. And McDonutts is already losing. That doesn't sit well with PC either. That's what this company does as of late. They give you no reason to care about anybody. They don't bother protecting anybody. Big Bronson Reed is losing to who? Shinsuke last week. So simplistically. What makes him so big? Bronson Reed, flat on his back looking up at the lights in 2.5 minutes. Tommaso Ciampa, this badass, getting rolled up by Shinsuke last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And then Tommaso's on a little bit of a losing streak. Grayson Waller, brand new to the main roster, already on a losing streak. JD McDonutts, welcome to the roster. Already losing. Braun Breaker is on a losing streak. Braun might have beaten Von Wagner on NXT. Maybe that broke the losing streak. Before that, just a non-stop losing streak for Braun Breaker. And he's about to hit the main roster. We're not protecting anybody. And some people are okay with it. They're saying, well, this is going to gain them the knowledge. And if it's done correctly, the fans are going to go, well, he may have lost, but he's somebody to keep an eye out for because he's pretty good. No, this isn't like Carmelo Hayes being defeated by Sethington Rollins over in NXT, right? Wow, Carmelo put in a good performance. He just lost in the end. No, this isn't that. Look at the way Tommaso's losing. Look at the way Bronson Reed is losing. Look at the way JD McDonutts is losing. Look at the way Grayson Waller can't win a match. You're just making it harder. And this is going to be a longer process to get people to care about these individuals. So good to see the champion win this match, but McDonutts already losing, and then we're supposed to turn around and care about him in Judgment Day. Man, it's so odd. Protect him a little bit more from the jump is a request from the Amplified Man. Backstage, a hilarious segment between Adam Pearce and Chelsea Green. Pearce about to strip Green of her tag titles due to Sonya Deville's injury. But instead, Chelsea wants to hold auditions for a new tag partner. The way Chelsea Green is so good in these skits because she's so sincere in her words. She really is thinking that Pearce is going to let her hold auditions. Carter and Chance enter Pearce's office straight off the milk carton. Clearly, they lost or they got lost looking for catering. A mistake they wish they didn't make, because Piper Niven then enters the office and drops both Carter and Chance. Niven then looks right at Chelsea Green, takes one of the tag titles from Chelsea, and says, and I quote, "I'm your new tag team partner." Chelsea is like, actually, I was gonna hold auditions. And Niven says, I don't think you understand. I said I'm your new tag partner. Not the best accent, of course, but you get the point. She took the title, and she was not giving Chelsea Green or Adam Pearce any other option. It was, I'm going to be the tag team partner with Chelsea, or they're going to be vacant, and you're going to lose them as a whole. And Chelsea's like, okay. Adam Pearce at this point doesn't know what to think. Piper Niven came in calling her own shots, demanding shit. You got Carter and Chance laid out in his office. Adam Pearce still has to run the rest of the show. I thought that was a good backstage segment. Now, as far as the believability into it, that somebody can just walk in, take a title, and now they're champion, no, I do not like that concept. I hope there's more fluff to this story. It looks like that's where they're going to go with it. At least we're not going to vacate the titles. But you got to tell more of a story as to how somebody else became champion with Chelsea. It can't just be I took the title. But that's what it looks like. So now all I'm asking for is to fluff it up, right? Make it a little bit more difficult. Have Pearce and Piper Niven have to just have them debate a little bit more. Have them kind of at each other a little bit more. Pearce is so adamant that she cannot just take the title. Piper Niven maybe has to prove herself a little bit. Couple 2-3 matches, right? And then Pearce can actually label her a champion. Fluff it up a little bit. You can't just take a title and that's that. Otherwise, the whole locker room would do that, right? Very odd. It's like those open challenges when somebody will take it and you're thinking, where's everybody else? Is everybody they trapped in catering? Did they leave the arena in a protest that we don't know about? Where is everybody during an open challenge for a championship? One dude wants to take the call. You know, so it's up to everybody to play their part and make it believable. Anyway, that's your new tag title holders, it looks like. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Hour number 1 ends with Gable versus Giovanni Vinci. That's, who was that? Is that Samantha? Who says that, man? Great announcing on these names. Honestly, at first I was kind of like, Then I was like, all right, I'm liking these individualistic name entrances, man. These calls on these names. Giovanni Vinci versus Gable. Maxine, before this match. Maxine smacks the European coffee out of Kaiser pre-match. Literally, you saw coffee beans spitting into the 4th row. She didn't lay in like Stephanie McMahon would lay into her smacks, but Maxine got all of it on Kaiser, who's been trying to hit on Maxine for a few weeks now. And I gotta say, that dude has to work on his game. Ain't no way those pickup lines are working in the club or in pro wrestling. Not even in Costco are those pickup lines going to get you a Costco girl. So, of course, he was getting smacked upside his dome piece. Gable defeats Vinci via pinfall off his German bridge suplex. Post-match, Gunther stands atop the commentary table and demands an impromptu match with Otis. 3 minutes later, following a Gunther bomb, Otis is looking up at the lights, and that is the end of hour number 1. So Gable gets a big victory, and then his tag partner Otis loses minutes later. That's the type of 50-50 booking we can do without. Nobody needed to see Gunther win a 3-minute match. Nobody needed to see Otis lose like that. And nobody needed to see Gable's victory minutes earlier tainted and forgotten about because of the Gunther victory over Otis. Hope you guys are keeping track. There was no need for that extra 3 to 4 minutes. Gunther's on the commentary table. Let him deliver his heel promo that he did beautifully, I thought. Everybody's booing him. He's on top of the commentary table like he's a real dictator, right? I mean, it was good. No reason to do Otis dirty like that. And Gable, because Gable just won his match. So, that's the end of hour 1. Somehow that's supposed to get us more excited to see Gunther versus Chad Gable. I'm already into that match. It sucks that I don't have the calendar, obviously, in front of me, but I don't think that match is going to happen after Gunther reaches his longest IC title reign ever, and you know that's what they're going to do. So that's an automatic L for Gable. If it's before Gunther reaches that milestone, that's an automatic L for Gable. That's sad because Gable's one of those dudes I would actually believe would take and could take the title from Gunther. If you're not going to do somebody like Dragunov, which I doubt that's going to happen, the main roster audience hasn't even been introduced to Dragunov, so you're going to have to, Gunther would be champion another 6 months to a year. Gunther's going to have to eventually move on to main event status. That's the problem with that. Somebody has to take the IC title off of him. Gable actually would have been a prime recipient of that championship. But I think, because I don't have the calendar in front of me, I think that match is going to be put on before. Maybe at I don't know, Payback? Maybe they'll do it on a Monday Night Raw. I forgot the exact date. I just think they're going to give the milestone longest IC title reign ever to Gunther and then go from there. I don't think they have any intention on giving it to Gable. Now, if that match is after that milestone, open skies, let's rock. Gable, no! Love it. Just makes sense. Even more than McIntyre, guys. I know. BC, you said McIntyre's return. It's his return. He really needs something, and you said he shouldn't be winning the IC title. Absolutely, that's what I said. It does nothing for Drew. That's why. If the title isn't going to do anything for the guy who loses it and the guy who wins it, then don't do it. McIntyre's had a world championship, and it did nothing for him. They don't know how to book Drew McIntyre, guys. They literally don't know how to book McIntyre. Look at hour number 2. Look at hour number 2. Do you want to start from... Okay, I'll get to McIntyre. That was a little bit into hour 2. So I'm going to get to that in a couple of minutes. I'll show you how they book Drew McIntyre. And that proves my point that no, throwing a title or an accessory on him isn't going to do anything. But let me get to the start of hour number 2 first. We start hour 2 with Indi Hartwell. It's an introduction video package. Hey, what a concept, man. The problem is, months after the draft, we're finally getting an Indi Hartwell introduction video package. Vignettes of Indi Hartwell months after the draft. And, to boot, she was already on TV several times for the main roster. And now we get an introduction package on Hartwell. Months after the draft, weeks after already being used, and now we get the video package. And even more hilarious and sad is they announced that she's in a match later in the night, which was just a couple of segments later, versus Rhea Ripley. How ass backwards is that, guys? The draft was months ago. They used her several times already on TV in horrible spots, by the way. And then they announce a match with Ripley later in the night, and they choose that moment to give you an introduction video package. She literally says in this package, I am Indi Hartwell. And she starts talking about, what makes her special. Ass backwards. Maybe. Just maybe. Just a little bit. Maybe. This advice from BC would take you much farther, WWE. Start with introduction packages. From the jump, start with the introduction packages. The vignettes, right? Start with those. For several weeks, keep doing it. Build her up. Then, and only then, debut her. I remember seeing 3 months of Razor Ramon vignettes before he ever stepped foot in the ring. Months of Razor Ramon vignettes before Scott Hall even stepped foot in a WWE ring. And you guess what? It worked. It worked. We actually wanted to see him. We knew this dude was special. Oh, and by the way, Ripley pinned Indi Hartwell in 2 minutes, less than a half an hour later with Riptide. So even with the introduction video package so oddly placed time-wise, she still ended up losing less than a half an hour later in just 2 minutes via Rhea Ripley and her Riptide. So I'm seeing nothing going into last night's Monday Night Raw or coming out that would tell me why I should care about Indi Hartwell, why she is special, and why she is even any good. And that's sad because if you follow the channel, you know BC is very high on Indi Hartwell. I like Indi Hartwell a lot. I know the potential that is there. And to do her like this, but that's this company's MO lately, right? The company just brings somebody in and they have them on losing streaks. And I guess the thought process is that's going to gain sympathy for them, right? They're going to pay their dues. They're going to put up with struggle and adversity before they start winning. The heels don't need to do that. McDonutts, Grayson Waller, a Braun Breaker. We don't want to see them on losing streaks. Find any which way to collect that W. Ric Flair wouldn't be on those type of losing streaks just debuting on a roster. Find a way for the W's. What a weird beginning or hour 2 for Indi Hartwell. Everything ass backwards, and when it was all said and done, looking up at the lights. Back to the ring. This is the Drew McIntyre seg I was telling you about. Flip Flops Flanagan, Matthew P.H. Riddle, Scooter McGee, and Drew McIntyre, this weird, stupid tag team they have. Drew, the replacement of Randy Orton, clearly. They've had many replacements with Matt Riddle. Nothing works. I didn't even like RK Bro because I think Randy Orton is way better than that. But here you have Flip Flops Flanagan and Drew McIntyre, or with Flanagan, he's Drew Snoozentyre, versus the Viking Raiders. This was sloppier than a Kardashian marriage. And I'm not sure any spot landed properly in this match. And in the end, Drew Mac scores the pin off a Claymore. It was a Claymore party. And because it was the Viking Raiders, we didn't need 2 Claymores, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6 Claymores. No, we just needed 1 Claymore. And the party was over. 1 Claymore, Viking, I don't know, Eric, Ibar, pick one. Both Vikings looking up at the lights. How's that? A Viking party. Bring them all in, and they were all looking up at the lights. Giving the Vikings their 21st loss in their last 23 matches. I'll say that again. After Drew won that match over the Viking Raiders last night, the Viking Raiders now have 21 losses out of their last 23 matches. This was a team once decorated as War Machine, once decorated as what could be one of the baddest tag teams in the world. Well, they are one of the baddest, all right, but it's not in the term that we like to use it in. Anyway, watching Drew McIntyre post-match parade around the ring with Scooter McGee is just so sad. Such high expectations for Drew during his absence, and this is what we get. And this could be a ripple effect for Randy Orton's return. You could finally one day see Drew turn heel, which is how he should have came back, as a heel, take out Sethington for the actual newly created Participation Trophy Runners-Up Championship. That's what you would think Drew would come back for. No, he comes back for the same title before he left, Gunther's title. The same title he failed at. And he comes back as the same smiling Drew. Now he's in all these comedy segments with Matthew P.H. Riddle, Scooter McGee, Flip Flops Flanagan. And nobody cares about Drew McIntyre. Sadly, he should have came back as a heel, take out Sethington, and we're off to the races. So say they finally do that. They turn him against Matt Riddle, right? Drew finally turns heel. Well, how do you think that's going to set up? Clearly, that's going to bring back Randy Orton to save the day, right? Randy's back. It's Randy, right? Matt Riddle's throwing a parade. The crowd gets their yay, right? Their big pop because they get to see Orton. And then you got to think, well, wait a second. Orton's now just back in his RK Bro tag team? And now it's going to set up a multi-month feud between Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Now, on the surface, you may say, I don't mind that, BC. Well, maybe it's good then to you, and maybe it will be good. We can do better with Randy Orton, especially with that back injury. His appearances now are going to be limited, and it's going to mean much more with every appearance. We can't flounder Randy Orton's return. It has to be epic from day one. Old school legend killer status. A viper personified, amplified to the most highest of degrees and most amplified of measurements. But I'm looking at something where you could get Drew turning on Riddle, and that brings back Orton to save the day for Riddle. We can do better than that. So it could be a ripple effect, but it looks like after last night, the way they're parading around, man. Flip-flops Flanagan, Drew Snoozentyre. The Glass Bros is what they're calling them, or their tag name. Guys, I didn't pick the name. The Glass Bros. Hour number 2 then ends with Michael Cole in the ring with Shinsuke Nakamura to get answers on his big heel turn last week. Now, I like this. It makes the situation feel much more special than just Byron Saxton backstage asking Shinsuke why he kicked Sethington in his face. This reminds me of Vince McMahon interviewing Bret Hart middle of the ring after his turn. Or Jim Ross interviewing Stone Cold after his turn. Now, of course, Michael Cole and Shinsuke may not be on that level, of course, per se. But I digress. It still makes it feel more special to see Michael Cole in the ring to get the answers, not just Byron Saxton backstage. more special, right? This is bigger than just being backstage for 30 seconds. Michael Cole, the decorated journalist before he came to WWE, he's going to get the answers. I like this. Sethington Rollins makes his way to the ring wearing Becky Lynch's wedding gown. Interesting choice of garment. He gives Naka a title shot, and Naka shakes his hand. Naka then proceeds to still deliver Kinshasa to his dome piece. And Becky is going to be pissed that Sethington got laid out in her wedding gown. You know Becky's going to be upset, man. In fact, there was a little bit more. I think she was up next, actually, in her matchup with Trish. And there was a little bit more rage there. You could tell she didn't like her wedding gown getting ruined. But Sethington gives a title shot to Nakamura. No, it didn't even take a lot of bargaining. It didn't take any debate. None of that. He just said, you want a title shot, it's yours. And even he extended his hand to Shinsuke first. Shinsuke just shook it. So Sethington did everything correctly, and then he turns around and gets Kinshasa. And that was the end of hour 2. Now this is going to be, I don't expect them to give this title to Shinsuke. So they have to go about this. It's going to be very interesting how they go about this, because is this just to set up the next opponent for Sethington without any proper care to the trajectory of Shinsuke Nakamura afterwards? This is what this company does. We've seen it with Cesaro and so many others. Big E, while he was champion, when he took on Roman Reigns, Survivor Series. But the people like Cesaro and people like that went on to face Roman Reigns, get defeated, and afterwards, they weren't just brought back to the beginning of the line. They weren't even in the line anymore. I don't even know if they were invited to catering afterwards. You know, this company will put you in a match, a big match, and then they'll say, all right, you did your part, that's it. We don't have anything for you afterwards. You ever hear of a thing called momentum? Use it. This heel turn can be good for Shinsuke. Put some thought into it, some resources. Have fun with it. And when it's all said and done, do justice for Sethington and Nakamura. Hour number 3. We begin with Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus wrestling to a double countout and then fighting through the crowd in Winnipeg. The action picks up in the corridors, Stratus thrown into the concession stand, Zoe Stark would appear and send Lynch through the merchandise booth. Clearly this saga continues. I like the concept here, because you got away from the stipulation. Zoe can't be at ringside, so she can't interfere, but you need to use her at some point. So having them in the corridors, hey, that makes sense, right? Amongst the fans, she's no longer at ringside. The double countout is a way for them to continue it, which is obviously what they want to do. They did not want to end this in Canada. After last night, I'm not so sure anybody needs to see more of this. Last night was the first time I saw that they didn't gel too good together. They're better than that. On the microphone, the store, I have not minded this at all. And that might seem like a hot take. A lot of people didn't like this Trish and Becky thing from the jump. I didn't mind this at all. And I love how Becky Lynch is not being selfish and letting other people go for titles and have the titles and be in the title picture while she's doing this whole summer-long thing with Trish. You know, there's no selfishness there. It's selfless. And she's giving those opportunities. Charlie Flair at some point is going to have a meeting with Paul Levesque McMahon and say the same thing. Vincent Kennedy and Nick Khan, whoever she's got to go to, put them all in a room and just say, listen, I think I should have storylines that have nothing to do with the title for a good year or two. To start. But no, Becky understands that it's going to be better for her to just stay away from the titles for right now. So I didn't mind it, but this match just didn't land. But it was clear what they were trying to get to anyway. They just want to prolong it, so they had the double count out. I'm okay with that. Fight through the crowd, pretty cool visual, fighting amongst the Canadians, eh? Go into the corridors, into the merchandise stands, the hot dog concession stand. You got wieners being thrown at their face. Who knows? It was great. Sodas being thrown around, little kids stealing, shirts while they're wrestling, and security is distracted, right? Merchandise is being fucking hawked. It's fun. It was a good visual. The problem I have is you could have done so much more. This was very quick once they got to the corridors. Couple of concession stands they went through on top of the merchandise booth. Zoe shows up, takes out Becky. Becky gets a few right hooks in, but then Trish and Zoe get the upper hand. And 5 seconds later, we're already going to Michael Cole and Wade Barrett talking about the main event. You know, you could have just stayed in those corridors for a good couple of minutes, man. Done some really unique, fun stuff. That would have had us talking a little bit more. So that's my problem with that. I didn't mind the whole visuals. I don't even mind the double count out. The match was definitely not great or even good, but I don't mind everything else. My problem is you could have done even more. So I guess that's a good issue to have, right? The fact that we would want more of something. I like the fact they left the ring, up the crowd, in the corridors. We just could have done more. It's almost like they ran out of ideas. They're like, okay, we got to the corridors, and that's all I have. Throw some t-shirts at her face, and let's get out of here. We then went into the main event, Cody Rhodes. Versus Finn Balor. This is exactly what I told you guys, what I was hearing for weeks now, is the company has no idea what to do with Cody after SummerSlam. And I knew they were going to go the lazy route and recycle matches with the Judgment Day. And call it, right, disguise it as a, quote, feud. Because we already saw this same match we saw April 24th on Raw, I believe the date was. This same exact match we've already seen on Monday Night Raw, guys, months ago. And then 13 times since on 2 different tours, guys. So Cody versus Finn has been just touring the world on 2 separate tours. At least 13 times they faced each other. So we've seen it on live TV already. Cody defeated Finn Balor clean, 1, 2, 3. Don't need to see it again for a while, a long time if you want to run it back. And then they just toured the world afterwards twice. So we've already seen Cody and Finn Balor every which way. Cody has faced and defeated Damian Priest just a few weeks ago. And Cody defeated Dominic Mysterio at Money in the Bank just last month. And he beat all 3 of them last week in a 6-man tag. So you guys see what I'm saying? I really hope this isn't their plan going into the holidays. But sadly it is. This is exactly what I told you guys. Some people are like, nah, BC, it's Cody. They got something. Relax. I know your sources are usually right or along the same lines of being right, but this one, I think they're wrong. I wouldn't tell you guys if I didn't think there was reputable reasoning behind it. And I didn't just hear that on 1 or 2 occasions from my people. That's exactly what I was hearing. With no alteration. They literally don't know what to do with Cody. They have nothing for Cody after SummerSlam. And that's when I started saying, oh no, that's not good, because you don't have any other heels on Raw other than Judgment Day. The only other guy would be Gunther. And you're not going to have Cody go for an IC title when he just couldn't even get the world title. You talk about a demotion, a consolation prize, that would look horrible optics-wise. So you can't do anything with Gunther and Cody right now. So it's going to have to be what? Judgment Day. The problem is you already had the Cody Judgment Day feud, or at least all the matches without a feud. Now we're running it back and we're disguising it as a feud. This is what the company has to get better at. Have a long-term plan. The trajectory has to work out for everybody. The company, the talent, and the fans. It's like they show up to these arenas and they just throw baloney at a wall. Wherever it lands, that's where it's going to be the matchups. And then a week, 2 weeks, a month later, they realize, or maybe they don't even realize, they've forgotten that they even had the match a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago. Or they had a certain match 17 times in 6 months. Or maybe they just don't even care. But if you're telling me that the next several months we got to watch Cody Rhodes in tag team matches with Judgment Day, or 6-man tags with Judgment Day, or one-on-one matches with each member of the Judgment Day, well, I've already seen it. Not last year, not 5 years ago, so it's fresh. No, I've seen it over the last 3 months. And you guys have too. If you forgot about it, man, That's like a superpower if you can forget bad booking. I actually applaud that. Anyway, this match was good. I mean, it's Balor and Cody. Of course, you'll get good wrestling. That's a plus. Balor wrestling in Jordans is just funny to BC. It just doesn't. Some people, okay, you're wrestling the Usos, right? They throw on some high tops. It makes sense. Watching Finn Balor in Jordans, I don't know. Finish was so good. Damian slides the briefcase into the ring for Balor. Rhea Ripley was distracting the referee. I think Dominic threw in the chair. The referee caught it, went to throw the chair out. Rhea gets up, prevented the ref from throwing the chair out. So now Damian has the briefcase, slides it in, but he slid it with such velocity. He put so much gusto into the push that the briefcase slid right under Finn's legs and right to Cody Rhodes. Balor's looking at Damian Priest before Balor even turns around, he's looking at Priest oh no. That's in Cody's hands, isn't it? And Damian's shit. Senior shit. And all of a sudden, Balor turns around, and sure enough, Cody decks both Balor and Priest with the briefcase, and then connects with Crossroads onto Balor for the W. Post-match, JD McDonutts, his whole dozen of donuts, attacks Cody. Zayn tries to make the save, but to no avail as Judgment Day attacks, and the numbers game is just too much. Cody gets a coup de grace in the ring. Sami Zayn on the outside is razor's edged through the commentary table. And we end the show with Judgment Day on the same page. And JD McDonutts is on the outside looking in, which I just thought that was a good... It's a good metaphor for JD McDonutts weaseling his way into the Judgment Day. And yes, they're on the same page now, but there is going to be an odd man out. I'm guessing it will be Damian Priest, so that when he cashes in, it'll be more of a pop because he'll be a face. But they're going to have to do this correctly and properly. So far, I don't mind what they're doing with Judgment Day and McDonutts. And before we take off, some shout-outs to some Amplified Unit members, some super chat, super thanks, coffees being thrown at the channel in the last podcast. Much respect. WWE, AEW Marvel fan, Gold Team, Gold Status channel member. So this is just a coffee on top of all of that. So WWE, AEW Marvel fan, much respect, man. Appreciate you. Always good seeing you up in here. And WWE AEW Marvel fan says, the Bloodline saga is overbooked. It takes up TV time and even pay-per-view time. For one, the Bloodline stuff should have been culminated this past WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes winning. Then we'd have the implosion of the Bloodline without the titles. Roman Reigns as champion is hurting the product as a whole. Although I am tired of seeing the Bloodline storyline, I'm at least intrigued on how they'll go with Jimmy and Jay and their feud going forward. They should not drag this out till WrestleMania. There's no way that's possible. I don't mind the Bloodline storyline. It's something that absolutely could keep going and should. Until you land The Rock versus Roman, this Bloodline storyline has to go on. There's no way this can finally end without seeing The Rock and Roman. I don't even need a title on the line. But it's a dream match, A, and B, it's a match that has to happen. That's the only way the Bloodline can culminate. And even if The Rock wins, and you say all of this was for not even a part, Roman's part-time, what does that make The Rock? So B, C, he can't win. No, I have situations where The Rock could absolutely win, and then the next night gets annihilated so bad that Roman is put on the map like never before. There's many ways you can go about it, but you have to have The Rock and Roman, and to do that, I feel the Bloodline storyline has to keep evolving somehow. Thankfully, we have Paul Heyman on the front lines for that as the centerpiece of this whole thing. But as far as Jay and Jimmy's feud going to WrestleMania, I fully agree. There's no way that should be happening. I don't even know if this company can do that, because you'd be talking about all of September, October, November, December, January, February, March. You'd be talking over 7 months to make us care about Jimmy and Jay. We'll be fortunate if we can get 2 months out of these two because of WWE's, and I quote, creative. And as far as this all should have really culminated with Cody winning at Mania, well, we know that. Everybody now knows that was a mega botch. To this day, even dirt sheets are talking about like certain individuals, wrestlers or referees or people that used to run a company, talking about how it was the right decision to have Cody lose at Mania. Well, why are we still talking about that? Because everybody knows how wrong it was. So yeah, WWE, AEW, Marvel fan, you're absolutely correct on that. And sadly, I think everybody now knows that. And some good takes on that SmackDown too, because I believe that was the SmackDown review, that podcast that Super Thanks was on. So good takes on that as well. WWE, AEW, Marvel fan. I also want to give a shout out over to Eddie, 279, a coffee to the channel. What's up, BC? What up, Eddie? Here's an extra coffee on me so you never run out. Ha. Don't worry about that, Eddie. There ain't no running out of the coffee, bruh. Today's my birthday as well. Am proud. So, no. Well, probably proud to be an Amplified unit member as well. But Eddie says, am about to get amplified. Okay. Oh, well, you should be doing that even if it's not your birthday, Eddie. So that was back on, I believe, Saturday, if that was the SmackDown review. So Saturday. So this is a belated happy birthday to Eddie. Hopefully you crushed it, man. Stay amplified, dude. Appreciate the coffee. Always good seeing you up in here. And I also want to give a shout out over to Unique Butterfly. One of my tried and trues for the longest time. 2-spot, super thanks, coffee. What's up, AMP members? What up, Unique Butterfly? This month officially marks 3 years being with the channel. I've watched some vids here and there before, but this month in 2020 is when I became a full-fledged member and proud of it, or at least viewing the channel. Memberships have only been around for 7 months, maybe 8, but Unique Butterfly started watching for 3 years now, man. Your videos, BC, have gotten me through the pandemic, health issues, stress issues, etc. So thank you so very much for all that you do, BC. I am forever grateful. Red team, go! Gold team, go! Unique Butterfly, thank you. I appreciate those words so very much. It's what I always strive to do. Just entertain you guys. Get your mind off things for a half an hour here or an hour there. Maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours. BC starts talking pro wrestling. That's why we turn these into podcasts, right? They can go a while. But if I could just entertain you guys for a little bit on something so silly like professional wrestling, then that's what I'll do. This started as a hobby, and that's what it'll always be. Even if I decide one day to turn it into a full-fledged job, it's always going to remain a hobby because it's always what I love to do. Talk pro wrestling with you guys, and we created something so special with this channel, and it's because you guys are always so damn amplified and so amazing. And I mean that. Those aren't just words. Reading something like that, Unique Butterfly, that's why BC does what he does on this channel. I'm so glad to have you on board for years now, Unique Butterfly. So while you're thanking me, BC is sending you a massive amplified thank you right back. Gold status, always awesome to see Unique Butterfly up on the channel. Guys, rock out the rest of your day and the rest of this week, even though there's a lot of travel to get to and a lot of business to conduct this week. You guys will be getting a lot more content. So stay subscribed and notified. The bell will go off. You guys will know when BC is rocking out with more amplification. Until next time, and there will be a next time. Top guy, I'm out. BC, he's saying check you. Peace.